All right, YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here, the podcast talking Auburn football. Go ahead and get yourself involved in this video. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. War Eagle, definitely a tough loss for the Auburn Tigers. As you know, you're in a situation where Auburn was up 28-3 and winds up surrendering the game to Mississippi State in a crucially unfortunate fashion considering everything that was in front of them. You talk about the prospect of a chance to have an opportunity at the SEC championship with the win here and with the loss, Texas A&M actually having to lose against Ole Miss today. If you want to go live real quick, I know that there are other media outlets for Auburn that are live at the moment, and it's just very unfortunate that Auburn succumbs in this kind of fashion. I mean, it's really epic how this happens. I want you guys to go over to the War Report. They actually have a live stream going on to talk about this. But I just, it's my first time going live in quite some time, and I will say, as far as from a disappointment standpoint, this is pretty rough for the Tigers to be in a situation where they're up 28-3 against a team that's a little iffy on defense, and it's just really hard to watch Auburn lose in this particular fashion. Like I said, War Report is going on right now. You probably have the brain drain going on right now as we talk about the Auburn Tigers football team. With this particular loss, of course, you have the process thinking, the program is in shambles. I personally don't have that sentiment. I really don't have that sentiment. Is in shambles, and there was some really unfortunate happenings in this game. Okay, so let's rewind how we got to the shaky shit to begin with. Auburn goes up 28-3, and I think the crucial drive of the game is not Ole Miss, but Mississippi State getting the score right before halftime. Getting the score right before halftime, making the game 28-3. The defense is always already a little iffy to begin with, but then switching it over to where Mississippi State gets the football back at halftime. They score on that drive, and the momentum ensued. And it's crazy how this was probably one of the most bizarre things in Auburn football that I've ever seen. Number one, Will Rogers, 44 of 55 for 415 yards and 6 touchdowns against Derek Mason defense that was, bend but don't break. But I mean, this thing was broken in the second half. This thing was absolutely broken in the second half. I have not seen all year where a Derek Mason defense not only doesn't adjust, but the bleeding continues. The bleeding absolutely continues. And, you look at stats like Auburn allowing 33 points to 6 in the second half. Now, I will admit that's something I just have never seen that before. From an Auburn football team. Even some of the worst defenses have not done this at Auburn. I think this is going to be a really tough week for Brian Harsin and his staff and his football team to try to regroup and try to kind of gather themselves going into the South Carolina game. I think that's a winnable game for the Tigers. But you just can't lose like this. Okay, let's read some of the comments. George, my brother, the Auburn fans thinks your coach threw the game. Now, when I think about this, I was very intrigued by the decision in when Auburn got the touchdown to get it kind of, I think it was 20. I forgot the score. Um, but I was really intrigued with Auburn's decision to go for two. I did not agree with that. I thought you should get the extra point, still have some at least mental, some at least some mental stability to where you still can win the football game. But I think that portion of the football game where Auburn went for two and didn't get it, and it's still a two-score game with not many minutes left, I question that. I really question that because I was just about sure that you go for two, you make it a one-score game where you absolutely have to go for, um, where you absolutely have to go for two on the second end of the touchdown. But I did not agree with going for two with the first score. All right, so let's look at some of the comments. Yo, Malcolm. Oh man, all I can say is wow. I've never seen anything, quite like this. Um, Now we say they should have never fired Kevin Steele. You know, we that's something in hindsight that we can, possibly argue that the Tigers should not have fired Kevin Steele. There was something that Derek Mason may have seen in, Brian Harsin may have seen in Derek Mason that he thought was plausible for him to be a defensive coordinator. But I mean, to be fair, I can't all the way agree with that because Derek Mason's defense up to this point has only allowed 19 points per game. They played particularly well at making adjustments. They just didn't do it today. And I think you know, it's just really unfortunate. I mean, we can say all day after a loss that, a certain coach should be fired or should never have been hired in the first place. But I think that's some real hindsight, knee jerk reactions because Derek Mason has done some okay things this year. He's been a little sketchy at times, but he made the adjustments, and Auburn eventually wins the football game. Or at least the defense puts Auburn in a position to win football games, and it just didn't happen today. Um, I also um, I also don't agree with I don't agree with some of the refs calls. I think the call against TD Moultrie was absolutely not only ridiculous, but it did not it was not plausible for at least the point in the game. He did not do anything to cause bodily harm to Will Rogers. So I think that's one of those unfortunate things. And as we dig into these stats, I mean, it's just a tough loss for the Tigers. Auburn not being able to get the run game going. Auburn not being able to really establish anything significant offensively in the second half. I just it's just a tough loss, guys. It's just a really really tough loss. But I'm going to get off here. I know this was a really quick live stream. Um, you can go ahead and check out the War Report. They're actually on live now. Like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. We'll have some more information later on. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.